something interesting happened this week. A bit quite unfortunate. NHIF. Easter, what happened there?
So there's a bit of conflict
between
the NHIF, National Health Insurance Fund,
yes,
and the private hospitals body of Kenya, right? So the thing is, the nature of NHIF, by name, is sort of insurance-like.
Yeah, it is an insurance company.
You go and the ordinary mwananchi is to go to a hospital. Because it's a national cover.
Yeah,
you go there for services. Then the NHIF is supposed to now reimburse or indemnify,
and you pay premiums as well. Don't forget that.
Yes. It's supposed to indemnify the health provider, health services provider, which is the hospital.
Yes.
So the thing is, there's an issue with regards to the indemnification or compensation.
Yes.
That is, for services like cesarean section.
Yeah.
Which would cost somewhere in the neighborhoods of over 100,000. The NHIF is only offering to compensate the hospitals up to as much as barely 20,000 shillings. And so there's a problem here, because the one who's hurting the most is the mwananchi, because the NHIF, not even the NHIF, but these hospitals, they've said that they're not going to take NHIF starting from 1st of February. That is on Tuesday.
Yeah, and
so
particularly, that's the Association of Private Hospitals.
Yeah,
so they won't be accepting NHIF starting the 1st of February.
Yeah, and the NHIF body is not so steady on the ground, because they're saying that they're willing to hold the conversation and therefore extend the contract that they were working on, and that was supposed to have ended in 31st December last year. Yeah, they're willing to extend it until they reach a conclusion of these conversations. But in the meantime, as this continues to happen, you can imagine for people who need these services urgently, and frequently, like people who go for kidney dialysis twice a week. This is something that they don't really have the time to wait for these people to fight and throw words at each other.
Let me start from this point. I mean, I hugely sympathize and empathize for people who use NHIF and who are in areas where the services that they require are only available in private hospitals, because they won't be able to get the services now. They will only, because now they'll only be able to get services using NHIF in public hospitals, and some public hospitals don't have some equipment and services available in private hospitals. So that's a big challenge. Another thing is, this week I had a conversation with one of the health sector industry players, and he was telling me that, so generally what happens is NHIF has a contract with hospitals, okay? And the contract is normally a 3-year contract that's renewed every time. So the contract ended, the 3-year contract that they had ended mid 2021. Okay. So now it is time to renew a new contract. So in this new contract, what NHIF wants to do is they want to cut the money that they pay these people to pay to private hospitals for services that members of the citizenry come in to get. They want to cut it by around 4 times. So that's a huge deal when it comes to revenue for private hospital owners. Okay.
So, and remember, to add on to that, there's always been the issue of cash flows.
Exactly.
That is, private hospitals, if they can avoid NHIF even from before, they would.
And generally insurance,
it would take them time to recover, like to make the claim, to get the.
There's a whole process. But do you know what Easter? I have some shocking news for you.
Tell me.
So first of all, before I get to the shocking news, you look at the issue of NHIF now, and they want to cut revenues by almost 4 times, and that's a huge deal. Okay, so there's no way hospitals are going to accept that, and now it's the mwananchi that will lose, as Easter has just said. Okay. And now look at it this way. The shocking news is that, do you know NHIF is the best payer when it comes to compensating private hospitals? You look at private insurance, they take a minimum of 6 months to compensate you. So when you go into a private hospital today, you get your services through your insurance, a private insurer. I don't want to mention a name. So you go there, you get the services done. this part, the hospital will be paid.
Dan is not here.
No, the hospital will be paid at least 6 months after. Others take even 9 months. Others take even 12 months.
So
but NHIF
is
is the quickest
efficient
to do that because there's a huge working capital and cash flow issues there. Because Bonnie, you've been attended to. The doctor needs to be paid that month. The syringes has to be bought and everything. But then these guys will be paid. The hospital will be paid 9 months later. So this also means a big deal for hospitals, because private hospitals, because NHIF has been their best payer. So the best payer is now bringing issues.
No, the fact that they've been the best payers tells me something, because one of the issues that caused the conflict between these two bodies, NHIF and the private hospitals body, is the fact that the NHIF body is feeling that there's been a medical fraud from the side of the hospitals, that they log in claims that are not really existential.
Okay.
That is, they say that Keegan came here yesterday, got these services. Keegan delivered by cesarean section.
Alter that example, Chief.
And now they're putting in a claim to NHIF of 100,000, right? Keegan never came here for any such services, right? So I think they might have found a few instances where that was happening.
Yeah.
And so that's why they were like, because we cannot invest in actuaries to do this, we're just going to reduce the amount of money we give you for some of this.
No, I don't think it's right. Do you think that makes sense, that argument?
It does to some extent. So the interesting thing with this story is, how does this tie to the NHIF amendment bill, if there's any correlation?
The NHIF amendment bill is actually making it mandatory.
Would you introduce it? Would you introduce the amendment bill?
It was passed.
It was passed into law.
Yeah, it was passed into law. NHIF is mandatory for anyone who's above 18 years old now.
As we speak.
So am I committing? Sorry.
You don't have NHIF?
No.
Yeah, arrest. Yeah, so that's how it stands.
So how does this story tie to the bill?
I haven't yet drawn any connection.
No connection.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think there's any.
I haven't drawn
weak correlation.
Any correlation. This is just an issue of compensation.
Compensation between
the hospitals,
private hospitals and NHIF.
Because the bill, as you've introduced it, as you've said it, you've told it to me, seems to be political. That is, with regards to achievement of the universal health.
I don't see the politics in it. Do you see the politics in it, Boone?
But universal healthcare is one of the key agendas for the president.
That's why it's political.
Yeah.
Okay. As we discussed earlier, I mean, we've said this, I think, I can't remember in which episode, that at the end of the day, the pilot was done for universal healthcare. But at the end, it needs to be financed by someone. And does the government have money to finance universal healthcare as it stands? They can't. The treasury is broke.
Clearly no.
Okay, so the only way it can be done, the only practical way, is for not actually mandatorizing NHIF wasn't the best issue. I mean, it's just lobbying for people to join NHIF. If you can have 80% of the adult population with NHIF, I mean, you've achieved universal healthcare. So of course there's a whole plan. There's a whole plan for that. There is another bill. Okay, so one of the issues from NHIF has been that the cost in which how private hospitals charge people, these costs are a bit too high. That's why they're planning on cutting it, because Easter came and removed his tooth, and they charged him 150,000.
Okay, at least that's not cesarean section.
Okay. So the charges are relatively high for some of these hospitals. Now, there was a certain bill. We discussed this in must have been episode 6, if not 7. And this bill seeks to cap, to actually regulate the charges that are charged by doctors and generally healthcare services. And there was also a similar bill about rental, that to regulate rent prices. And we've had debates about regulation here.
Now you see, some of these things are capped by the industries. Like, for example, for the nurses, there's a cap by their body, Kenya National Union of Nurses,
that they can charge.
For the lawyers, there's a chart that shows for this service, this is the maximum you can charge.
But then of course lawyers find a way of around those things, as they always do. But here specifically, the issue is about the services. So for example, this bill wants to say, for example, so they want to form sort of like a task force, like a committee that will be setting industry prices. So they can say probably for CT scan services, it shouldn't go past 20,000 or something like that. So that's the plan. Do you think that if that bill is passed, probably NHIF would have found a working way now to move forward, because their complaining charges are high?
Yeah, of course. Because generally when you go and see a physician or even a doctor, just by virtue of consultation, the fees are normally high, quite high. Yeah.
For private hospitals.
Private hospitals. So if we can come up with a way of capping, I think the capping has to do with medical fees and doctors.
Yeah,
fees,
and particularly services fee.
Yeah, and I remember that bill because at some point it was featured on Business Daily.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, so your question is, how does that tie to the
if that bill is passed?
Yeah, how does it tie to
this conversation?
NHIF
and the Association of Kenya Private Hospitals.
Private hospitals, yeah. Of course, with capping, then maybe we can have less tussles between NHIF and the private sector hospitals.
Definitely.
You mentioned about capping, and I feel like it's something that's already there, because when I mentioned about cesarean section, that was an actual example given by the head of the spokesperson for that body of Kenya private hospitals. Yeah, and he said, you mentioned some figure that they're being paid 20K, and they said that this is way below the professional fees recommended by the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council. So there's already a cap.
So it's NHIF who are...
It seems like there's already a cap in place.
Yes.
But what about medical fees?
Medical fees?
Yeah. Is there an existing cap already?
There might be not generally a cap, might be recommendations, like you see that industry set standard by that East has mentioned. But then there's nothing that is recognized by law that this is across board, or not just one service but various services.
It's actually a recommendation.
So that's what the bill is coming into.
Yes, so it will set up a committee. So this committee will scan through the healthcare industry and now set industry prices for that.
But I don't know where you are with the conversation about capping rental rates, because I feel like now you're jumping ships. Yeah, because
I haven't spoken my mind here yet.
Let it. No, you're advocating for.
I'm not advocating.
A committee.
Who has said I'm advocating? No, I'm just saying. I haven't said whether I agree with it or not.
Okay, because I actually don't. I don't vouch for that. I believe market should regulate itself. Yeah. If I go to Nairobi Hospital,
Tachanomics.
If I go to Nairobi Hospital and for some now the prices I'm served in. Let's say my food is served in what. A very
when you're going to Nairobi Hospital to eat.
Listen.
No, you're going to eat.
No, these are overheads. I'm trying to
use
build up my
use a
case
healthcare example. Why are you using food?
Okay, then. If I'm going to Nairobi Hospital, I'm going to the CT scan they're going to use on me is the latest in the market, and it's therefore more efficient, and it's definitely more expensive.
Yeah.
Nairobi Hospital should be given the powers to charge however much they think is enough for them, such that if I cannot afford that, let me go to Hospital X, where the CT scan they're using is from 1975, and I may not be sure about the diagnosis I'm given.
Yeah.
Market.
First of all, I want to say that Easter is one of those people who, when they get sick, they eat a lot in hospital. You wonder if they're
use your money, bro.
They're sick or not.
But looking at our legislators, do you think the said bill will pass?
Our legislators, the thing is,
Has
Bonnie,
it passed? It's
still in Parliament. The bill is still in Parliament.
I think it's still up for debate.
It's still up for debate. But you know what, Bonnie? I don't have a lot of confidence for our legislators, simply because they don't follow the issue. They follow the political wind. Okay, so if the powers above say it's this direction, they don't really focus on this is how it affects Kenyans and this and this, and they just go with the political wind, which for me is not encouraging.
But looking at the fact that we are headed into an electioneering period, these are manifesto things,
They might actually do
they'll
it.
pass it. There's a good chance they'll pass it. Just to-
Interesting.
just have
We'll
to
see
wait
how
and
that
see.
pans out.
for some